Howdy, howdy. Welcome to Full Sport Press. I am Zach.
And I'm Peyton.
And this is Full Sport Press. All right. I'll go with what I saw first because I think we're going to have a discussion about yours, and I'm so excited for it. Okay, so mine. This weekend, if you don't know, college football is back. And one of the first games that came on during that beautiful Saturday was Wyoming versus Texas Tech. This game went to overtime. I'm not sure how many. I think I saw 4 at some point. All I have here is the highlight that I'm talking about, though. So this highlight happened in second overtime. So I'm going to set the scene for you. Texas Tech scored a touchdown in their second overtime. Wyoming has to score here to keep the game going. They have to score a touchdown. It's 4th and 7 for Wyoming. They got the ball, and they are on they're on Texas Tech's 11-yard line. So they're 11 yards away from scoring, but still, it's 4th and 7. That's scary. They can get a first down if they need it, but it's a little scary. This play they run, snaps the ball, quarterback drops back, literally within seconds, immediately. Texas Tech has 3 people in the backfield tackling this quarterback. As this quarterback is getting tackled, like his back and his butt are way back there, and his head and hand are way out here because he just threw the ball while he's getting tackled. Gets tackled, throws the ball, connects to, I think, a tight end just running down the middle of the field in the end zone for a touchdown. And they keep the game alive. Wyoming did end up winning this game. The Wyoming's quarterback had Andrew Peasley, had a great quote. He said, "Take them to the deep end of the pool, and they're going to fold." That's the Cowboy King for you. So, yes, that's it.
And to make that even better, it did only have 2 overtimes, so they scored that, and then they got the 2-point conversion and won.
Thank you. Oh.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Wow. Thank you.
All right. So moving into what we saw, I tried to hide my shirt a little bit until we got here, and that is the Duke Blue Devils. And let's just say earlier in the day, I sent a text message right when I woke up. It's like game day, Duke. Maybe they pull off the upset tonight. And then I sent a text a little bit later, and I was like, you know what? The more I think about it, I'm gonna call it. Duke's gonna upset them tonight. There's just something in the air. It's gonna happen, and somehow it did happen.
Oh boy, did they!
Wow! And I knew coming into it, Duke is a different team than they have been. Last year, first year under Mike Elko, they looked like a pretty good team. 9-4, I believe, was their final record. And they only lost. I don't think they lost any games by more than 8 points. So they were within a possession every game. And they just came to play. They have I believe he's a junior now, Riley Leonard, quarterback. He's projected to be a first-round pick. And some good defense because, but they shut down Clemson. And I don't know how much of it was that or how much of it was Clemson's offense just not having anything, but
oh boy,
the first half I watched. I honestly, the final score, Duke's won 28-7. The first half they could have been up probably 21-7. No, they probably should have been up 21-0 because Clemson's only touchdown of the game came because of the muffed punt return where the Duke guy he was just being stupid.
Oh
he knew right away what he did, but he just tried to pick up the ball off a bounce, didn't work out, and it set them up on the 15-yard line. Easy touchdown for Clemson. So going in the half, it was 7-6. Clemson was up, and I was like, man, it feels like one of those games Clemson's going to be in it the whole way and somehow pull it out at the end because they always have. Whenever they're about to get upset, that's just what happens. They somehow
NC
survive.
State,
to the
Syracuse,
end.
this has happened year after year. It's crazy. Continue.
Yeah. So I was just thinking in my head, I was like, yeah, this is going to be another one of those. Duke's going to keep it close. And then in the end, it's just Clemson's going to win it somehow.
Louisville.
So going into the second half, Duke's first possession, Riley Leonard somehow breaks away from a sack, takes it 40 yards to the house.
That was a great run.
Yeah, it was
run
insane.
was crazy.
But it put up Duke 13-7. Next drive, Clemson's offense seems to finally have figured it out. They run the ball basically all the way down the field, get inside the 10, and then a misread option. Somehow, some way, they fumble it. Duke picks it up. Duke doesn't do anything with it. They punt. Clemson gets all the way inside the 10 again. But Duke gets to stop, 4th and goal. Dude has a 25-yard field goal, somehow misses it. So Duke gets the ball back again. Doesn't do anything with it, punts it. Clemson runs it all the way back down inside the 10 again, fumbles again. Yeah. And this time Duke takes it all the way back to the other 40, and they ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive to make it 21-7, and then stop Clemson on the next drive, score again, 28-7, and then Duke storms the field, wins the ball game. Honestly, just the fact that it was a blowout made it so much better. Than just a easy, because you can claim a fluke if Duke wins 13-7 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But this was just, Duke was the better football team. And I think what I read really is when you look back at those other upsets, Clemson always looked like the better, athletic, team. You always felt like they were the better team, but the other team,
they just weren't making plays. Yeah.
Right. This last night did not feel like that. Duke felt
it did not.
On the same level or better than Clemson as far as athletes, as far as skill positions. There was no position where I was like, Clemson is so much better than Duke in that. And I don't know if that's more of Duke rising up or if that's Clemson starting to fall. But wow, I was proud of the Blue Devils. They're ranked number 21 in the AP poll now after that. And it was a great night for Duke fans and for college football fans everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's today should be a national holiday. Mother, if you're listening to this, I hope that my father has it on the TV. Anytime Clemson loses, it's a thing to celebrate. It's a good thing. We love seeing Dabo Swinney sad. We love seeing those Clemson fans with their heads down, sad tiger eyes. It's the best. Anytime I want to see people crying, I just look at Clemson losing. Man, it's a great thing. Well, it almost pains me. Actually, it doesn't almost pain me. It absolutely does pain me that I have to talk about our next topic, which was my game of the week, North Carolina versus South Carolina. Well, as I recall, last podcast we came on, I made some pretty mild predictions for the game. I said it might be close. North Carolina would probably come out on top. It seems like I was correct. That's what I saw, at least when I watched it. But yeah, so that's what ended up happening. North Carolina wins 31-17. Just a weird day, I would say. A weird game. The defense is terrible. Let's just get that out the way. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The defense is terrible. So we're not even going to talk about them because they were bad. Special teams, lovely, as they always have been. Pete Lambeau, 2024, baby. That's who I'm voting for. Oh my gosh. Just the amount of times they're able to either flip the field on a punt or pull off a fake and get it every time. Or, in this case, it was an onside kick. Executed perfectly. I want to remind everybody, Pete Lambeau did not even make finalist for Broyles Award? Whatever the special teams coordinator, the best one. He didn't even make the finalist for that last year. And we were number one special teams team in the country. Anyway, this was just a bad game. Defense sucked. Offensive line let North Carolina have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sacks on Spencer Rattler. 9 sacks. And yeah, what else is there to say? What are your thoughts? It was terrible.
I mean,
We somehow scored 17 points.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know how, but we did.
I mean, to be honest, Spencer Rattler actually played really good for what he was given.
He did.
We had some big drops. Brown, I can't remember his first name right now. Brown, number 10, on a fourth down. It was an easy completion.
Yeah.
Drops it.
Yep.
That killed a drive. And I just don't know if it's just Xavier Leggett literally carried the receiving core.
Yep.
I don't know if we need to see more recruit, like younger guys like Nick Harbor. I don't know where he was. We didn't play him at all as far as I saw, maybe a couple plays. But something's got to be figured out with the offensive line because it is
9 sacks.
Yeah. Last year was the same way, but it was Georgia State we were playing, so it ended up not affecting it and not a big deal. And they ended up figuring it out. So hopefully it's just like that, and we just scheduled a hard opponent first, and we weren't ready for it.
I hope so.
That was just a horrible showing. From the offensive line.
Yeah, but the reason I guess I say it's weird is because even while the only thing you can think about with this offense, besides Spencer Rattler, is the offensive line, and it makes you think terrible things. But the offense still had really good flashes. Like, Xavier Leggett is amazing. Spencer Rattler played really good, 30 for 39 for 353 yards. He didn't have a touchdown, but he also didn't have an interception. Xavier Leggett had 9 receptions for 178 yards. His average was 19.8. I mean, and then everybody else was, I think the next closest one was 5 from Dak Joyner, who's the running back now. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. We play Furman next, so that should be an easy win. I'm not going to say that, though. We know how that goes in South Carolina's history. And then the week after happens. I'm not even going to say that one yet. So yeah, that's how the game of the week went for me.
All right. Well, my game of the week, Arsenal versus Man United, was very good game. But for this game, it was started off. It was 1-1 late into the match, and it was looking like it was headed towards a tie. And then all of a sudden, Manchester United get a goal from Alejandro Garnacho. And then VAR checks it, and they call it back for offsides. Now, the reason was the Arsenal center back, instead of kind of running normal, he literally stopped and took his whole body back and was like this. And somehow his head was just far enough back to where Garnacho's shoulder was this much offsides. It was very questionable. And if you haven't seen it, I would look it up because it was just crazy. And so they call it offsides. And that was in the 88th minute around there. Then it keeps going on. And then in the 96th minute, off a corner, it falls to Declan Rice. He gets a deflection into the goal. Arsenal go up 2-1. And then they get a breakaway in the final minutes to go up 3-1, win the match. 3-1, beat Manchester United. And it is possibly time for panic in Manchester United. If you're a Manchester United fan, not a great start to the season. They have 6 points from 4 matches. They've won 2, lost 2. So, yeah. Arsenal, on the other hand, is sitting at, let's see where they are here. In the 5th position, they have 10 points, 3 wins and a draw. So, pretty good start to the season for Arsenal. Manchester United, not so much. All right. Moving on to the Premier Lacrosse League playoffs. Some great matches, some not so good matches from the playoffs. We had, starting off, was a blowout. Redwoods destroyed the Chaos. That was a little bit of a shocker. Chaos are usually known for their playoffs performances, but Redwoods and Jack Kelly in goal really was dominant, and they end up winning that one big. It was 15-9. Then, second game of the day, we had Water Dogs versus Whip Snakes. This was kind of the one I was looking forward to. Thought it could go either way. Water Dogs ended up winning it 15-12. And they move on. Water Dogs have had a great season. And then to finish it off, the Cannons destroy the Atlas 20-11. Literally looked unstoppable. They may be my favorites to win it all. So let's look ahead to September 10th, which I believe is Sunday. It is the semifinals in Long Island, New York. Starting off at 3 p.m., we got the Redwoods versus the Archers. I expect a big Archers win personally. I think the Archers are just a lot better than the Redwoods. But we'll see what happens. And then right after that, at 5:30, we have the Water Dogs versus the Cannons. That one could go either way. Should be a great game. So Sunday, 3 p.m. ABC, Redwoods Archers, and then 5:30 ESPN Plus, Water Dogs and Cannons. All right.
Before you move on to soccer, I don't know if we talked about it last week or not, but PLL was very smart with their marketing strategy here, where their playoffs started the same week as first week of college football, and they decided, you know what, we're not even going to compete, and just had all their games on Labor Day. So smart move by PLL. I bet they got probably a lot of viewers because I imagine those games were on in the afternoon, and then you got Clemson Duke at night.
Into Clemson Duke. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Moving on to the Premier League, some soccer. Liverpool, are they finally back to the old Liverpool or getting there? That is the question with the revamped midfield. Dominic Soboslai, another insane performance from him, a great goal. And they beat Aston Villa 3-0. And that is before we even get into the signing of Ryan Gravenberch from Bayern Munich, a new midfielder to add to the revamped midfield. Now, with that, question is, are they finally back? They beat a quality side in Aston Villa 3-0. But there is turmoil in Liverpool because the Saudis are lurking. And
That's fine.
They are lurking with lots of money.
That's fine.
I believe the updated offer is $210 million for Mo Salah. From what I've read, both Liverpool doesn't want to sell and Mo Salah does not want to go, but Saudi Arabia is not convinced. But we do not need him to go because the transfer window is over for England, so we cannot replace him, even if we sell him now. So we cannot sell him, or we would be horrible.
Do it.
No, we cannot.
It's fine.
We can wait. We can wait till the winter, and then
what
when
if
we can
he's
replace him.
old?
He is old, but he is still our best player, and we need him. Okay, and we need him. So we Liverpool cannot sell, in my opinion, because, like I said, transfer window is currently closed for England, and that would not.
$210 million is Kylian Mbappe money.
It
Just
is.
saying. Just saying.
And we will take it. We will take it in the winter transfer window, but not
if
right
he
now.
dies.
Not right now. All right, Team USA friendly on Saturday versus Uzbekistan at 5:30 on TNT. If you feel like watching a little soccer in the middle of your college football, that would be an interesting match just to see how they look back under Greg Berhalter, because everybody knows the controversy around him coming back to Team USA. How are they going to look? I did look at the roster. It is pretty good. Most of the first team guys. So it would be interesting to see how they play, especially it should be a blowout, I would assume. Uzbekistan is not very highly ranked. So that's it for soccer. Oh, yeah. And Premier League is in a international break, so we have a couple weekends until they are back.
What? Okay.
Yep.
Boo.
Every league is in that except MLS.
All right. Well, getting into the WNBA, we basically should just make this a Fever podcast because that's the team I'm going to talk about again. Fever, sadly, I think at this point last week, we were still able to get into the playoffs. Now, sadly, that has changed. But on the bright side, that's better for our pick odds, so we'll take it. I got to see my last Fever home game of the season, sadly, on Friday. It was a great season. Absolutely am getting season tickets again next year, doing the full season, or planning on doing the full season and going to all the games because absolutely had a blast. But the last game they played was against the Dallas Wings. It was a shootout. 110-100, the Wings pulled it out. Satu Sabali hit 7 threes in this game. She scored 40 points. And then looking at some of the other players for the Wings that, if I can get to the box score, that absolutely went off. Arike Agumbawale had 25 points. She went 5 for 10 from 3. Off the bench, you had Kalani Brown with 10. So good performance from a lot of the wings. The Fever as well. They had Aaliyah Boston score 27, Kelsey Mitchell scored 25, and Alyssa Smith scored 18, and Christy Wallace scored 14. So an all-around great performance from starters on both teams, but Satu Sabali scoring 40 was just way too much for the Fever to handle. And they did end up playing again on Sunday, and the Fever won that one. Then go into the standings real quick because this is the last week of the regular season for the WNBA. Sunday is the last day. Right now, you've got at the 1 seed, Las Vegas. At 2, you've got New York. 3 is Connecticut. 4 is Dallas. And 5 is Minnesota. All those teams are locked into the playoffs. And then at 6, you've got Atlanta. At 7, you have the Washington Mystics, and at 8, LA. 1 game behind LA, though, you have the Chicago Sky. So it seems like unless Atlanta or Washington just completely lose out, it's going to be a fight for that 8 spot between LA and Chicago. So this week, I believe the Sky have 3 games left, and I want to say the Sparks have 2. If you're watching a WNBA, watch any game the Sky or Sparks play, as they're going to be really important for their playoffs, if they're going to make the playoffs and stay in them or not. So, yeah, and that is all with women's basketball. All right, moving on to college football. Before we start and really get into it, I want to say now, we should have said this last week, but we kind of made this after the case. You can still join. You're not late. We are doing a college pick'em. If you don't know what that is, it's a little ESPN game. They do it every year. It's a lot of fun. Basically, they give you 10 games a week, and you get to pick who you think is going to win and then rank them by how confident you are in them. So at your number 10, that gets the most points. Number 1 gets the least. Right now, there's 5 people in the group. You can join in at any time. It's not like fantasy football where you kind of have to join and stay. You can join in at any time and kind of play and see how you do against us. So we're having fun. I think. Are you in first right now or second?
John is in first. I am in second. You're in third. Caleb in fourth. Tied with your dad for fourth.
Yep. Alrighty. Let's crack into the college football games of week 1.
Freeze. Stop. Before we talk about the games, let's just go ahead and mention the ACC voted to add Stanford, Cal, and SMU. I know we had talked about it previously that it was a possibility. It is official now.
It is. Really bolstering that conference up, you know?
I think
getting the powerhouses of college football into the ACC, right where they belong, right with Louisville and Boston College and whoever else, Virginia. Oh, man, that's just...
Yeah, this move makes not a lot of sense to me. I don't know if you saw SMU doesn't even get any money the first 6 seasons or something.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Right. I think I saw North Carolina, Florida State, and Clemson voted against it.
Good. I hope they leave.
I assume those 3 will be gone pretty soon. I don't know where they're going to go, but they'll be gone. All right. And now that that's out of the way, let's get into the games.
Well, I mean, do we want to do the other stuff before the games too? Because we have some other.
The one thing I'm waiting until the end. If your thing you want to do it now, you can.
Yeah, I might as well. Other news. If you haven't been down south and visited the Athens Memorial Speedway, make sure you do that before you die. It's apparently really fun. Over the weekend, a University of Georgia staffer was arrested. He was charged with reckless driving and speeding less than 24 hours before Georgia's season opener. This is, I want to say, the second incident with a staff member I've heard of. But in total, I want you to take a guess, okay? In the last 13 and a half months, so since July of 2022, how many Georgia players do you think have been arrested?
5.
5. That's a good guess. You were wrong. That answer is 9.
Oh my!
And there's like a bunch of them that are just driving, like reckless driving. So I don't know what's going on with Athens. They did recently list a job online that is a coordinator of player development, and the job description describes this as responsible for off-the-field activities of student athletes, included but not limited to providing advice and counsel related to life skills, academic success, personal development, and community involvement. Yep.
All right.
All right, now let's get into the games, kind of. First, we're not going to talk about this game long. Oregon absolutely destroyed Portland State 81-7. We're not shocked. Bo Nix is my future quarterback of Burrow's body count. But Puddles, the duck, poor guy, he does push-ups every time Oregon scores. He had to do 546 push-ups on Saturday. So we know your chest and your arms are killing you right now, Puddles. Hope you're doing well. Please. I mean, I know you want Oregon to win, but you kind of have to be thinking, man, I really hope they don't score anything this week. You know?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's get into the games.
So starting off, Utah, Florida. Man, Florida's offense was horrid.
Wretched.
Utah, I mean, not really much to go off of. Their quarterback was out. All I know is Florida looked horrible. Any thoughts besides that?
Nope. I mean, I thought Utah looked good. Cam Rising was out, but their quarterback they had in was good, and we already know Cam Rising is going to be good when he's there.
Yeah. I got a couple quick. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like there was some, like, I thought there was one really good player that, like, stood out from that game, but now that I'm looking at stats, maybe not. Okay.
A couple quick hitters from Thursday night. NC State UConn was close for a long time, which is a little not good for NC State, a little scary. They only won by 10, and UConn is usually pretty horrible, and I assume that's still the case. Matt Rule had his debut, and not so sadly, it ended it in an L on a last-second field goal from Minnesota.
Nebraska, we tried to tell you about Marcus Satterfield. We tried to tell you. You didn't listen. But you know what? When I watched that game and I saw that Nebraska was 3rd and 14 and that play call was halfback dive, I knew it.
Let's just say Nebraska has two coaches that me and Zach are not very fond of, Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield.
How do these people get hired?
And then, I think that about wraps it up for Thursday. Friday night, we had the Battle of Miami, and Miami
won.
The quarterback of Miami, Ohio, had those comments about they're going to show him who the real Miami is or something, and
shut up.
The final score was 38-3, Miami, Florida.
Shocking.
So Louisville, Georgia Tech ended up being a outstanding game. Louisville pulled out the win, 39-34. And then moving on to Saturday, Tennessee dominant, not meaning much. And then we had I don't even know if it's the game of the weekend. I think it's probably still the game of the weekend. Colorado, TCU.
Man alive.
And if you had any doubts about Colorado, they answered them because wow.
Who do we talk about first?
I mean, we'll start with Shader Sanders because he was the kind of the guy people weren't sure what to expect. He's only played at Jackson State. I don't feel like he was that high of a recruit coming out.
I think he was like 3-star maybe.
Yeah. So
he wasn't
no
that
one
great.
really knew.
His brother was only a 3-star.
Yeah. So no one knew if he was actually going to be able to produce at a big time like power conference. And he answered those critics, 38 for 47, 510 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. And he was just insane.
Yeah, he looked really good. He was man. There were some throws he made that were just like, whoa, that's got some razzle-dazzle on it.
So that is one of Colorado's Heisman candidates.
Oh
And then
boy,
we'll go in and talk about the second Colorado Heisman candidate. Travis Hunter had 11 catches for 119 yards. Pretty
that's really
good.
good. That's really good.
But he also had an interception and 3 tackles. And
How?
the interception was crazy.
How? How? I thought he was a wide receiver.
He plays both ways and not just a little bit. Like he plays almost every snap, I think. Like he had
I
140
think
something snaps.
I think the final count was like 100. I feel like it was 110 or something. Because at one point near the end, they had a counter up and it was 90. So I knew
Yeah.
it ended up being like around 110. But if he does, here's what I want to say about Travis Hunter. If he does this all year long consistently, and he's a good wide receiver and a good defensive back, I don't understand how how do you even have Heisman finalist? It's just him. That's it. That's the only answer at that point. Because
Yeah.
nobody has ever done that. Nobody else can do that. I wouldn't, or somebody else might be able to, but they haven't, and not that well. But that's game one. We got a whole season to go, so we'll see.
Next week they take on Matt Rule and Nebraska.
Don't talk too much about it though.
Okay. Other games of note Saturday. I think we mentioned Ohio State, Indiana. Ohio State looked very lackluster offensively. They ended up winning 23-3, but not much going on the offensive side of the ball. So something to watch. Is Ohio State really as good as they were last year? Who knows? Other than that, mostly blowouts. I mean, most teams had just an easy, super easy game. Penn State killed West Virginia. Their new quarterback looked really good. And then Sunday, LSU Florida State. Wow, Florida State laid the beat down on LSU.
Yeah. Which kind of surprises me.
Yeah.
To be honest, like I don't think I'm surprised that Florida State won because both those teams have good quarterbacks, and I think they're both at a point now where they're good again. Like LSU was really good, obviously came down after Joe when everybody left. Florida State was like bottom tier, and they've built their way back up. But now I feel like they're both at a place where they're decent. And for FSU to do that to LSU, if anything, I thought it would have been the other way around. But maybe that's just SEC bias.
Well, see, I think Florida State could be the first case of we're seeing NIL really take a team and change it. For example, the leading receiver from that game, Keon Coleman, 9 catches, 122 yards, 3 touchdowns, transfer from Michigan State. And it's not like he wasn't playing there. I think he was their top receiver there too. Jaheim Bell, 2 touchdowns from South Carolina.
Don't.
Jordan Travis originally, he played at, I believe, UCF, right? No, Louisville. Oh, he played at Louisville.
Wow.
But he may not be involved in the NIL. But just an example of another transfer they have that ended up starting and being their guy. So is this a case of the first team that's like NIL all around, getting them to the be in the top 5 or whatever? I don't know. Just something to watch. And then obviously we talked about Duke, Clemson. Now, before we get to our week 2 games to watch, I saw this on Reddit. A Reddit user went through, I believe it's the LSU Florida State game and the Duke Clemson game, and timed it with their phone, like keeping track of how long commercials took, how long the actual gameplay happened. So the game kicked off at 7:45. This is LSU Florida State, and ended at 11:08. So 3 hours and 23 minutes is how long the total, like everything
broadcast was. Yeah.
So the game presentation time, so times the game was on the screen, was 2 hours and 27 minutes. The amount of time ads there was 131 ads for 55 minutes and 48 seconds. So
honestly, that's better than I thought.
I mean, if you think about it, it's about like what, a third of what you're watching.
Yeah.
Am I doing the math right?
I think so.
Somewhere around there.
It's around there.
And then that was LSU Florida State. Duke Clemson, they did the same thing. The game was 2 hours, or the game kicked off at 8:06, ended at 11:22. So about 3 hours and 16 minutes. The actual game was on screen for 2 hours, 23 minutes. ads were on screen for 56 minutes. So the LSU Florida State game had about 0.64 ads per minute. Last night's game had 8.45 ads per minute.
Ooh, man.
So when you look
Well,
at it like
that's
that,
got to be Monday Primetime.
and then there was a TV timeout every 3 minutes and 20 seconds of game time. So, I mean, the question becomes, is the new college football rules of the clock running on first downs, is it going to ruin the watching experience of college football because it's turned into more ads and less actual playing because the clock doesn't stop? It's not more playing. It's the clock keeps running. Every time there's a chance for a break, they're going to take it. I noticed personally, like every review, I feel like last year when they did review, you would get to see the replay some. And if it was taking a long time, then they'd go to a commercial. But this year, it was as soon as there was a review, commercial.
Yep.
And it was you didn't get to see any replay until they came back right before the play, maybe. And so the ads are kind of out of control.
It is. But this is sports wide. This isn't just college football. This happens like in the WNBA. Every game I watch, it's ridiculous the amount of times. Like the Fever will call a timeout at near the end of the game. Let's say like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Fever will call a timeout. Obviously, go to commercial. Then makes sense. Come back. They will play for literally sometimes 2 possessions. Something happens, and let's say the Wings call a timeout, and they'll go to commercial again.
Yeah.
Like, it's anytime, that's what you were saying, anytime they get a chance with where we're at just in society and the U.S. right now, they're going to take a chance to make money.
I mean, there's one sport that does it right, and that's soccer.
Yeah.
Because in soccer, even if you don't enjoy, let's just say you think it's boring, whatever. Soccer setup is the best as far as watching a game and getting a game and not ads constantly because it is 45 minutes straight. And there might be an ad up on the score bug. There might be an ad like in the corner, but you're going to get your 45 minutes straight of that game. And then the 15 minutes or whatever of halftime, most of that, it's going to be ads, but it's not during the game. Then you get back to the game, 45 minutes straight, it's over. I feel like they got to change it up somehow. I don't think they ever will because it's all money. But
exactly,
if they could somehow incorporate the ads into the score bug like soccer, do the more picture-in-picture ads that they do sometimes with I don't know if it's NFL or who it is, but they will sometimes have like the game down here and the ad up here for if they're doing like a review or something like that. I feel like there's some solutions they could figure out if they really wanted to, but they don't.
It's all a money grab. That's all it is. Because my solution that I think is the easiest one is just put sponsors on, put them on the jerseys, put them on the field, put them everywhere. Because in that way, if you have the sponsors there where people are seeing them all the time, you don't have to have commercials. That's one reason why in soccer we don't get a lot.
Yeah,
you don't get any in the action, but you don't get a lot in general because the uniform is an ad. All the things that you see when you're watching the screen, the little boards behind there on the sidelines are an ad. They've started doing that in the NBA a little bit, doing the WNBA a little bit, but still, it's not ever going to be a problem until capitalism doesn't exist, but this isn't that podcast, so.
Yeah, and I would say there's other ideas like adding when you have a replay, just have an ad in the corner of not a playing ad, but just like a company, or like soccer has those boards you were talking about on the side. There's so many solutions you can come up with as not stopping the game for 5 minutes so that you can do your ads and then coming back. And I feel like it's also not just affecting the person at home watching it, but when you go to a game, just having to sit there for 5 minutes waiting for them to come back, sometimes it's nice. Sometimes it's just annoying because you want to watch them play, and it takes forever. I don't know. That's
CEOs,
just a little rant.
CEOs, stop being so greedy. Week 2 games. Here we go. All right, I don't have one for every time slot because I do, but one of them is just a game of the week. So I did 2 from the same time slot because you can switch channels, and then 1 for 7. So 3:30 ABC, Peyton, tell them who's playing.
Texas A&M and
Yes.
Miami.
Yes. So this is, I believe we're in year 4 of 10 of Jimbo Fisher, I want to say. And the walls are already falling down all around them. Cries are coming from College Station. I can hear them now. For his head on a spike. This year might be the year it happens if Texas A&M doesn't play well. And honestly, it starts with this game. Miami, they're ranked.
They're not ranked.
They're not ranked, but they are undefeated. They could be ranked, possibly. Like they're decent.
They are the King Miami. Just keep it that.
They are. So just looking at both these teams, there's. I mean, how? Okay, here we go. Texas A&M last week they won their game. Their quarterback threw 5 touchdowns. Looking at Miami, their quarterback threw 1 touchdown. Who do you think is going to win out here? Just off that alone. That's all you get. That's all you get.
What if I've already looked at it and seen other things?
Take it out of your mind.
Just off that, then obviously I'd have to take Texas A&M. But going off the matchup predictor, which we all can trust from ESPN, 53% chance that Miami wins the game. I don't know how they come up with that, but
here's what I'm going to say, and it's not going to mean anything because I have the little bug in my brain that is yelling SEC, SEC, SEC. So Texas A&M is going to win because they're the better team.
Fair enough.
That's it.
That's all that needs to be said.
Alrighty. You got any thoughts?
I agree. I think Texas A&M will end up winning.
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, neither team has played anybody, but I don't know. I feel better about A&M. It is a weird situation where Jimbo is just weird, and then he also brought on what's the dude from Louisville who had the neck thing? Yeah, he brought him in. So a very weird team and coach's team for sure, but we'll see what happens Saturday. Maybe they figure it out. Next one at 3:30 on ESPN2. Tulane and Ole Miss. The Waves meet the Land Sharks. Tell us about it.
This one is going to be a blowout. Ole Miss is going to destroy them.
Ooh, wow.
I think Ole Miss could be really good this year. They got Jackson Dart from USC. They still got Judkins, who was their guy last year, their running back. Keep in mind they did beat Mercer 73-7. Take that for what you will. Yeah. Tulane, they are ranked, yes. I didn't they win? Who'd they beat last year in their bowl game?
USC.
Big time. USC, that's it.
So Jackson Dart revenge game.
Oh, okay.
Not really. Not really, but
yeah. I'm going to take Ole Miss big.
Well, I am defying you.
Oh.
I'm taking Tulane for the upset, and here's why. When I look at their last 5 opponents, and yes, they're from last year, I don't care. Their last 5 opponents, when I look at Ole Miss, I see LLLLW. Only one. And then when I see Tulane, I see W. Actually, sorry, big W. WWWW. Tulane's going to keep it going. They're going for the longest streak in the nation. The Green Wave. Okay. Did you know they were in Louisiana?
I did know that.
I didn't until I worked at home field, but yeah. I always thought somewhere else. Okay, last game. This is your 7 o'clock bite to eat. Obviously, you know what it is. Roll Tide or horns down. Who's it going to be?
Roll Tide. One thing I've learned in my years of college football is when you think Alabama might struggle, that's the year they're the best they're going to be. And Nick Saban always seems to turn it around when you feel like you're starting to maybe build a little bit of doubt in Alabama. After last year, they didn't make it to the playoffs. This year, they're without Bryce Young. They have Milroe at quarterback, unproven. And I was reading about how Saban wants to go back to the old Alabama offense, pound the ball, run the ball, control the game. And I think they're going to end up making the playoffs, possibly winning the national championship. Alabama wins this game.
Wow. You just did a lot of things to my dad, and he knows what that means. He loved everything you said. Alrighty. Well, I obviously, again, I'm not picking Alabama. I agree with you on everything you said because you're right, but I'm not picking Alabama. I want Texas to win here. And last year it was a really good game. Had Ewers not gone out, it could have been a different result. I really think it would have been. This time though, they are in Tuscaloosa. They're in Alabama. I don't know. I think it's going to be close. Not really. I want it to be close. But yeah, I think Alabama's going to win in the end. I don't want them to, though. I want that to be very clear.
Sometimes
I'm in a weird place right now where I really want SEC supremacy, especially with Texas, because they're like coming in. And as someone, even though South Carolina sucks, as someone who's been in the SEC, it's like, you don't belong here on our turf. But it's Alabama, and I don't want to pull for Alabama, so I'm not going to make myself do it. Hook 'em.
All right. Last thing for college football. We have the rankings, the new rankings. So let's just look at AP first. Only talk about some surprises or movements. Florida State up to 4.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm looking at these.
Ohio State dropped to 5. Not surprising. Tennessee, Notre Dame in the top 10. LSU drops to 14. UNC is 17. Let's see. Duke has joined the rankings at number 21, as Colorado did. Yeah, so did Colorado at 22. And then Clemson dropping 16 spots to number 25.
Shouldn't be ranked.
And then we're going to also talk about the coaches poll just because I want to talk about how stupid it is real quick. Big movements here. Actually, there's only one thing I want to talk about. Number 21 in the coaches poll, Clemson. Number 24 in the coaches poll, Duke. Now, how in the world does that make any sense? And me and Zach could discuss it a little bit. Maybe I see that if it was a close game and you still believe Clemson is a better team, Duke just happened to pull it out. But that wasn't the case in this game. Duke destroyed them by 3 touchdowns. There is no reason whatsoever Clemson should be ranked above Duke. Coaches.
Yeah.
If you call yourself that.
Well, you know what it is. They all love Dabo. Dabo's their best friend. They have to keep him above Duke. You know how embarrassing it would be for Dabo to be ranked under Duke? He can't handle that. He can't handle that. He would have to hide his face. There's no way, which I wish he would hide his face anyway. But, alrighty.
Okay, moving on to the NFL. Week
finally
is here, and I'm so ready.
I'm excited.
We're going to talk about the opening kickoff a little bit later.
But first, this isn't much of anything. I do want to say nobody can join this one, sadly, because we already had the draft. So hopefully you kept up with us on Twitter. We are having a Full Sport Press Fantasy League, and you will be getting updates weekly as it happens. Continue.
All right, so I'm going to give you a game for each time, 1 and 425, that I believe is kind of a game to watch. And then I'll tell you my game of the week because it is NFL related, obviously. And yeah, let's do it. Let's get into it. So at the 1 p.m. Sunday, we got. This may be a little biased, but it has to be.
But it has to be, yeah.
It has to be. The 1 p.m. game you need to watch is Panthers at Falcons. Bryce Young's debut. Frank Reich's debut as head coach. Are we going to see something better than preseason? We really hope so because it was awful. Now, the Falcons also, a lot of questions over there. Desmond Ridder, first year, starting as the starter at the beginning of the year. You add in Kyle Pitts and Drake London. How they have a full season under their belt. What are we going to look like as a offense together? And Bijan Robinson, cannot forget about him, also on the team now. So what does that offense look like? Is Atlanta's defense any better? And then, like I said with the Panthers, you got Bryce Young, you got Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Hayden Hurst. The new additions are endless for the Panthers.
Yeah.
So that I think that this game is just for the Panthers. What does the new look Panthers look like? And for the Falcons, have they finally figured out something consistent that will work for them? All right, moving on to the let's get a prediction. Zach, Panthers or Falcons? Who's taking it?
Oh, man. This is a tough one because you've got a rookie quarterback versus might as well be a rookie quarterback. I don't know. I don't know. How am I supposed to make this prediction unbiased? I don't know. The Falcons suck. The Falcons are always bad. The Panthers have good defense, at the very least. I hope Brian Burns plays. He's playing, isn't he? That we know of?
They haven't said yet.
Yikes. Ugh. They need to get that figured out. Why is that not figured out? Pay him. That's the only answer.
Well,
pay him.
I think he's
pay him
he's
any amount of money.
He's waiting on Bosa. So 49ers need to hurry up.
I don't like that because that's going to be really expensive.
Yeah.
All right. Panthers. Bryce Young is going to throw 5 touchdowns.
According to ESPN Analytics, the Falcons have a 55.9% chance to win, and the Panthers have a 43.7% chance to win. But in my mind, it's a 100% Panthers win. Okay, moving on. 425.
You don't want to make any predictions for this game like I did last week, South Carolina?
Bryce Young, 500 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 0 picks. DJ Chark has 2. Adam Thielen has 2, and Hayden Hurst has 3.
For the Gamecock, obviously.
J.C. Horn, 4 picks.
Wow.
Brian Burns signs a contract at halftime.
During the game.
Walks onto the field, then gets 7 sacks in the second half.
And then he gets the mic and he says, "Tell him to bring me that money."
Exactly. That is what's going to happen. You heard it here first. All right. Moving on to 425. We are headed to L.A., where we have the Dolphins versus the Chargers. And this is a huge matchup for week 1. Tua versus Justin Herbert. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. What are we going to look like this season? Jalen Ramsey, sadly, is out because I think did he tear his ACL? I can't remember what he did. He did something in preseason.
But he's gone.
So he will not be playing until, I believe, close to playoffs. He will be out. So who's gonna kind of emerge themselves as an early AFC team to beat, because both of them are solid, good teams. So that's my 425. I'm taking the Chargers in that one. What about you, Zach?
Well, I just want to know, is Tua's head going to be able to hold up?
Well, let's hope he can survive this season. Because
I don't know. I thought you were going to keep going. Okay. I'm going to say that the Dolphins, I feel like, might have a better defense. A little bit. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
And obviously they have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, which is terrifying. So I'm going to say Dolphins.
ESPN Analytics has Chargers at a 55.4% chance. Dolphins at 44.3% chance. Wow. I'm taking. Did I pick it yet?
I think so. Yeah.
Who did I say?
LA.
Oh, okay. Works for me.
Okay.
I was about to say Dolphins. All right.
My God. Nice.
Then on Sunday night, not much of a choice here. You will be watching Cowboys Giants, whether you like it or not. Will Dak Prescott finally figure it out? How does Daniel Jones look after a pretty good season last year? Let's just make this quick. I'm taking the Giants.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys have a 55.3% chance to win. All right. And
every game you said was 55%.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm confused about too. And finally, we're just going to go ahead and talk about it because who knows when we'll do the podcast. It could be Monday or Tuesday. So we may just start switching to Tuesdays, actually. feel like that kind of makes sense.
It does. Yeah, we might.
So from
Well,
now
we'll
on,
figure it out. Okay, yeah.
from now on, we will be going on Tuesdays.
This
I'm
is
making the
breaking
decision right
news.
here.
This is breaking news to everyone, including the two hosts.
See, look, this is what happens when we go over 35 minutes now. It just gets off the trains about 50 minutes in.
I put this on because I was cold, and now I'm really hot. So I'm delusional.
All right. So, final game of the weekend. It is a great Monday Night Football matchup. We have Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets, a divisional matchup, a high-profile Aaron Rodgers debut, Josh Allen and the Bills. What are you confused about?
None of these were on the notes, so I thought that your last two were game of the weeks. They weren't, though.
Okay, so Bills Jets. Like I said, Aaron Rodgers' debut as a Jet.
Division
What
game.
is he going to look like? Division game. Yeah. So I will be taking the Bills.
Yeah, I'm not picking Aaron Rodgers to win anything.
ESPN Analytics has the Bills at a 57.6% chance of winning.
Okay, that's
So
better
a
than
little
55.
bit high.
It's better than 55.
All right, and let's end it off with my game of the week to wrap up the NFL, and that is Thursday night, the beginning of the season. The NFL will be back. I will be pumped up, ready to go. Just that Thursday night game, no matter how it goes, I will always be ready to watch. And this year, honestly, I'm excited. It could end up being a blowout, but I think it'll be really good. I'll have multiple fantasy players in it, and that is the Lions versus the Chiefs on NBC or Peacock, I believe, at 8:20. Patrick Mahomes, obviously that electric offense. I don't know. I think Zach's making that face because I drafted one of his fantasy players from last year. Okay.
Travis Kelce.
Hold on. I'm going to get there. Patrick Mahomes is trying to lead his team to another Super Bowl. Travis Kelce officially is questionable. They just determined that this is breaking news. They just determined that his ACL is intact, and they will test it on Wednesday to determine his availability for the opener. So
Thank
he
God.
could possibly still play.
Thank God. I need him to.
Yeah.
And
and then the
one
Lions.
in one of my leagues, he was the only option in my pick.
Well.
So I need him to.
And then with the Lions side of the ball, you got Jared Goff coming off a pretty good year. They still have their OC, Ben Johnson, who also came out and said this week they will use Jahmyr Gibbs in ways you may not expect. Now, what that means,
Quarterback.
But
O-line.
he'll be playing every position on Thursday night. So Jahmyr Gibbs will be something to watch for. Should be a high-scoring affair. But you know what's interesting is every time I say that about a game, it ends up being a low scoring. So we'll see what happens. I am taking the Chiefs in this one, as is ESPN Analytics. They have a 66% chance to win. Zach, Chiefs or Lions?
I'm not going to be a bad friend. Go Lions. And that's for you, Billy Ray.
I'm being a good friend because I'm being honest with him. I think the Chiefs are going to win, so I'm going to tell him. Just like if I thought the Falcons were going to beat the Panthers, I'd say that.
You know what? I'm going to be a good friend and support my friends' other teams, just like they should support me.
I never said I wasn't pulling for the Lions. All I said is I think they're going to win.
Really? Because it sounds to me like you hate the Lions and you hate Billy Ray.
Okay. Well,
Cameron, I know you agree with me. Okay. My game of the week. How could it be any other game than this? Let me set the scene for you folks. Last year, in a tumultuous tenure for the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rule was fired. You cross the border from Charlotte, go on over to Rock Hill, drive 2.5 hours into the middle of South Carolina, and you find yourself in Columbia. And here is where you'll find a sad, sad man by the name of Marcus Satterfield, who just got fired from the University of South Carolina. These two sad, sad men, join forces at the coronation of the capital, Nebraska. and not only give us what we all want in week 1, a big fat L. They're going to do it again, but this time this week against Coach Prime. This week, there's no other game to watch than Nebraska and Colorado because, one, you get to see Coach Prime, you get to see Shader Sanders, you get to see Travis Hunter. But that's not even the best part. You get to see Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield lose. 12 o'clock, Saturday, Fox. I hope you're there. Welcome back to football. Welcome back to 1 hour full sport presses.
Oh, yeah.
We missed you. We missed you. I'm Zach.
I'm Peyton.
Bye-bye.